startling new claims from an Australian about the death of Princess Diana. John Morgan spent years investigating Diana's death in 1997. He believes she was murdered.
The thing is, it's a cover-up, and that's why I've called it a cover-up of a royal murder, because that's what it is.
Because this is a very well-researched book and obviously taken a lot of time to write. And I think it's extraordinary that a gentleman in Brisbane has done this.
At the end of the day, he's saying a 4-year report that cost nearly $10 million is full of faults.
I mean, it's huge. There's so much evidence in there that points to murder.
Investigative writer John Morgan claims to have proof Diana was murdered. His book catapults him into the very centre of the storm as the inquest in London continues. Soon he'll hook up over there with Dodi's dad, Mohammed El Fayed, who will pay his way and make him a household name.
It's a huge effort too, to go over there, as you can probably realise when you see me here, but I'm pretty determined, yeah.
John Morgan is dying, but he thinks his research into Diana's death has kept him going. So is he a crank or another conspiracy theorist who refuses to believe the obvious?
Most people think it's an accident. They just think drunk driver, speeding, and it's not right. The public needs to know. They need to know that there's much more to it.
His book analyses hundreds of pages of evidence given to the Paget inquiry, the first top-level British investigation into the crash. There are dozens of quotes, charts and lists. It's not light reading, but the wealth of detail is persuasive, especially when it comes to serious errors made by British and French investigators.
Well, it proves Princess Diana was murdered and that a huge cover-up has taken place.
For instance, it's widely accepted driver Henri Paul was drunk.
Was he drunk or wasn't he drunk? Well, he wasn't drunk.
John believes blood tests were seriously flawed and claims crucial evidence was ignored.
I mean, the CCTV footage in the Ritz Hotel, anyone can tell he wasn't drunk. He crouches down and ties up his shoelaces and does it with total ease, you know.
Then there's the time taken to get Diana to hospital.
And, I mean, you're talking about 1 hour, 41 minutes between the crash and the arrival at the hospital. Well, it's the centre of Paris. It's just ridiculous.
He claims Secret Service agents acting as paparazzi staged the crash using cars and motorbikes.
Yeah, it's an orchestrated crash.
And I'd say at best it's his theory of what happened on the night.
Anita Quigley from the Daily Telegraph wonders how a Brisbane writer could have made breakthroughs that eluded others simply by reading evidence.
I'd really like to hear what some of the investigative officers on the case, the French judge who looked at the matter previously, what their thoughts are on it.
John Morgan's conclusions even include pointing the finger at the likely organisers of that crash in the tunnel.
There's huge forces involved here. You know, you're talking about governments. I believe it's probably the intelligence agencies of Britain and France and the US.
And the motives? Well, they're far too complicated to reveal here. You'll just have to read the book. But at the current British inquest, there's been talk about the engagement of Dodi and Diana. And evidence has been given by a jeweller and the manager of the Ritz Hotel in Paris about the engagement ring.
And there is the talk about them going to buy the ring. Now, in saying that, that was a $26,000 ring, which is a lot to us, to you and I, but in her world is not such a big deal.
The Australian Woman's Weekly's editor, Deborah Thomas, is following this inquest closely.
I think that there's no doubt that Dodi El Fayed was thinking about marrying Princess Diana. Whether Princess Diana was thinking about or was going to agree to marry him is something different.
I mean, it is quite timely in that it occurred in the weeks leading up to the death of the pair. But I don't know if it's enough to say that it was reason for them to be murdered.
Whatever the experts will make of John Morgan's book, his timing is perfect. With 3 months of evidence left to give to the inquest in London, his bookstall in Harrods department store will do brisk business.
The only justice that can really happen is that the public gets to know.